So one of the things I've always liked about the NFL, there's a couple of things I like about the NFL. Number one, they're always willing to change. And I've said this before. I grew up as a young kid. I was a baseball fan. And I was a baseball play-by-play announcer. My first play-by-play when I wanted to be a sportscaster in college, I was on a 10-watt station in Eastern Washington doing baseball games. And I can still watch baseball postseason. But I think what's always kind of turned me on to the NFL is they're constantly elevating the league, and they're constantly changing to make it a better product. But there's been one thing about the NFL. They have never been what you would call player-friendly. It's always been sort of like the owner, the GM, and the coach run it. I understand that that's business. I mean, I don't have – what power do I have here? Broadcasting's the same way. It's largely I have bosses. I've got a Murdoch. I've got my bosses, and then I come on and talk, and if they're in a good mood, I can come and talk tomorrow. But times are changing, and players make more. And players, frankly, if you watch the NFL, they matter more. Quarterbacks now matter more. And I think the NFL, with Colin Kaepernick, is now showing what the strength of the league is. In the last week, Roger Goodell went to, I think, his basement and said, I'm not going to worry about Trump's tweets. I'm with the players. And then 2 days ago, we're going to give $250 million over the next decade to social justice campaigns. And the next part of that is, I'm listening to my players. We got to make it right with Kaepernick. And 32% of Americans are still outraged. If you want to be outraged and take away 9 to 10 hours of Sunday enjoyment, go for it. I'm not. Okay? I never loved him protesting at work. I don't think I could ever do that. But I was never bothered by the protest itself. That's what we're based on. He's going to get a tryout. Pete Carroll, Seattle Seahawks coach, yesterday admitted he got a call. It's happening. I'm with the players, $250 million, cap. They're going to do right by him. He's going to get a tryout. He's 6'4.5". He's lean, he's athletic, and he's mobile. He's got a big arm. Not always the best touch, big arm. And I do think 3.5 years of inactivity, it is a long time. His rust will have rust. But this is why I like the NFL. Like, they're not needing to be right. They're trying to get it right by the players. And this has always been kind of the last league where the players feel like, even star quarterbacks, I want out of here, franchise. I still want out of here. We'll franchise you again. I've never liked the franchise tag. I like players having the same rights I do, mobility. Now, I do think you should have to stay a place 4 and 5 years, and the NBA structure is they pay you more if you stay. But if you want to leave, I've done this, you should be able to leave. If you think you want better management, better opportunities, you want to play more. And I think the NFL now is doing what turned me on to them years ago and took me from a baseball fan to a football fan. They're constantly listening and changing and being nimble. And some people will say this is a weakness. I don't. He's got 2 things going for him, Colin Kaepernick. One, the NFL stylistically is moving into his style of play. And number 2 is there are reports now, Bruce Arians said this week, I may carry 3 quarterbacks. With the virus, I got to have a 3rd quarterback. If that's the case, he's making the league. This is why I like the NFL. I don't always have to agree with him. But if I feel you're trying, if you're listening and evolving, I'm in. And the Kaepernick thing, it's going to happen. Nick Wright says, hey, before you count him out, he may be rusty, but he is an NFL quarterback. Okay, I'm going to strongly disagree with this opinion coming up, but that's what this show is all about. Chris Sims played in the NFL, Phil Sims' son. He is not a fan of Tua. He is a big fan of Jarrett Stidham. I am opposed to both those opinions. Here he was on Boston radio. Okay, so Tua is a creation of Alabama. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, Cowherd's going to bristle. So let's just take the emotion out of it. There's an argument to be made Tua could be a creation of Alabama. Since Nick Saban took over Alabama, 97 players have been drafted. Only 14 have been Pro Bowlers, and only one's a first-ballot Hall of Famer, Julio Jones. I like Minka Fitzpatrick and Derrick Henry and C.J. Mosley when he's healthy a lot, but those aren't great odds. And many of those are defensive players, the core strength of Alabama. None of his quarterbacks have done anything. It's a safe offensive system where the quarterback rarely gets hit and throws to first-round wide receivers and tight ends. That is not how the NFL works. Quarterbacks, find me the litany of NFL starting quarterbacks from LSU and Alabama and Ohio State and USC, and there are not many. In fact, here's last year's playoff quarterbacks, Joy. In the AFC, they went to college at Wyoming, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, one power Clemson, Michigan, Louisville. That's a basketball school. The NFC quarterbacks, the better conference, Eastern Illinois, Junior College Cal, Purdue, North Dakota State, and NC State, Wisconsin, Michigan State. One world-class power, Clemson, and they weren't a power before Deshaun Watson got there. Chris Sims may be right. Now, in this instance, I think Tua has the instincts, kind of the intuitive feel for the game from the first time I saw him on tape that few have. But the line, a creation of Alabama, is very real if you look at what works in the NFL. For a quarterback in the NFL, it's 75% discomfort and 25% comfort. In college football at powerful schools, it's 75% comfort and 25% discomfort. So the more times you can get hit, 24 starts for Tua at college, 23 of 24, LSU the exception this year, he had better talent around him. Now, I think Tua is different. I think he's unique. His leadership skills, his accuracy, his ability to see the field. I don't worry about the injury like everybody else. But before you bristle, no. Look at the playoff quarterbacks not named Deshaun Watson. They mostly come from basketball schools. They didn't play with NFL offensive linemen. It was a series of 3, 4, and 5 years of discomfort. I'm here to see it. I think Tua's going to work. But before you dismiss the comments, we have a history where great college programs do not produce great playoff winning quarterbacks, at least in the last 20 years. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.